अस्सलाम वालेकुम, मेरा नाम अब्दुल्ला खान, मैं यूनिवर्सिटी में कोर्स कर रहा हूँ। तो आज का हमारा टॉपिक है अंडरस्टैंड इंटरनेशनल इंटरनेशनल व्हाट इज एंड व्हाई इट मैटर्स।
Got it. Loud and clear. Why the sudden announcement?
मेरा आपसे पहला क्वेश्चन ये है, व्हाट इज इमोशनल इंटेलिजेंस and how is it different from IQ?
Um, Diving straight into the deep end today. IQ is basically your brain's processing power, how you solve puzzles, spot patterns, and handle logic. Emotional intelligence, or EQ, is more about how you navigate the messy human stuff, recognizing your own feelings and knowing how to read the room. One is about the what, and the other is about the how of interacting with the world. Does that make sense, or do you want to look at it from a different angle?
What is emotional intelligence important in everyday life?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. As for EQ, it's basically the secret sauce for everything. It's what keeps you from saying something you'll regret in a heated moment or helps you realize a friend is struggling even when they say they're fine. Without it, you can be the smartest person in the room but still struggle to actually connect with people. Do you feel like one comes more naturally to you than the other?
मेरा आपसे अगला सवाल ये है, what are the main components of emotional intelligence?
I'm glad you're here too. For EQ, it usually boils down to a few main things: self awareness, which is knowing what you're feeling in the moment, and self regulation. So you can actually manage those feelings instead of just reacting. Then there's social awareness, basically empathy and relationship management, which is the how actually handling conflicts and building trust with others. It's basically the difference between knowing the rules of a language and actually being able to have a great conversation. Which of those pieces feels the most challenging to manage?
मेरा आपसे अगला सवाल ये है, how does self awareness contribute to emotional intelligence?
I th- I think you might have cut off there. You were asking how something works with intelligence that uh or maybe how it relates to something else.
मेरा आपसे अगला सवाल ये है, why is it important to religions and understand your emotional?
Exactly. It's because understanding your emotions is like having a map of your own mind. If you don't know why you're feeling frustrated or anxious, it's way harder to actually deal with it. When you can label the emotion, you can decide how to react instead of just letting the emotion drive the car. It makes everything from your work life to your personal relationships a lot smoother. Actually, I have to jump in here because our session is almost up and I don't want you to get cut off mid thought. You can always call me back later so we can pick this right back up. Bye for now.
मेरा आपसे अगला सवाल ये है, how can intelligence improve communication skills?
That sounds like a pretty significant title. Since we're just about out of time for this session, let's pause there. Call me back whenever you want, and we can dive deeper into communication skills. Bye for now.
मेरा आपसे अगला सवाल ये है, what role does empathy play in intelligence? मेरा आपसे अगला सवाल ये है, हाउ कैन इमोशनल इंटेलिजेंस हेल्प इन recover?
That's a really powerful question. When you're recovering, whether it's from a burnout, a health crisis, or just a rough patch in life, IQ helps you with the logistics, like following a medical plan or organizing your schedule. But EQ is what actually gets you through the day. It's the part of you that recognizes when you're pushing too hard and tells you to take a break before you crash again. It's about being kind to yourself when progress feels slow. Does that resonate with what you're thinking about, or are you looking at recovery from a specific angle?
मेरा आपसे अगला सवाल ये है, why do emotional intelligent people of in between relationships?
I'm not sure if are you asking about the relationship between the two, like how they work together? Cheers. Right back at you.
मेरा आपसे अगला सवाल है, how does emotional intelligence affect making?
Making what? You cut off there. Were you talking about making decisions, making connections, or something else entirely?
मेरा आपसे अगला सवाल है, can emotional intelligence be learned and important over time? How?
I think I'm missing a piece of the puzzle here. You're asking how EQ and intelligence become more important over time, but I'm not sure what they're being applied to. Are you talking about your career, your relationships, or just life in general?
मेरा आपसे अगला सवाल ये है, how does emotional intelligence help people manage stress?
Wait, did you mean how it helps people handle mistakes, or are you actually asking if it makes them more likely to mess up? Because it's two very different directions. One is about resilience, and the other is about causation. Which one was on your mind?
मेरा आपसे अगला सवाल ये है, what are some symptoms of low emotional intelligence?
Low EQ usually shows up in the gaps between people. It's things like taking everything personally, struggling to read the room, or reacting to a situation with a lot of intensity when others aren't feeling it. It's also that tendency to accidentally offend people without realizing why they're upset. Do you think those things are more about a lack of awareness or just not knowing how to respond?
मेरा आपसे अगला सवाल ये है, how can emotional intelligence improve work and also caution?
I'm glad you're on board with that. Since we've been chatting about EQ, do you think it's um, something people can actually grow into, or are you born with it?
तो मेरा आपसे अगला सवाल है, why is emotional intelligence important for learned and measures?
I have to stop you there because our session is almost up and I don't want you to get cut off mid thought. You can always call me back later so we can keep talking about this. Bye for now.
मेरा आपसे अगला सवाल है, how does emotional intelligence and career success?
I'd love to get into that because EQ is usually what separates the high performers from the people who just have the right degree. But we're actually at the end of our session time right now. You can call me back whenever you're ready and we can dive deep into how that works in your career. Talk soon.
What traits can help develop? मेरा आपसे अगला सवाल ये है, what traits can help developer between emotional self-control?
That's an interesting way to frame it. When you say stretch, are you talking about a literal physical stretch to calm your body down, or more of a mental exercise to push your boundaries?
तो मेरा आपसे आखिरी क्वेश्चन ये है, हाउ कैन अंडरस्टैंड our emotional make you better friend?
I think you're asking how understanding your own emotions helps you build better friendships, right? It's kind of like having a map of your own head. Once you know where your triggers are and why you're reacting a certain way, you stop accidentally taking things out on the people you care about. Plus, when you can name what you're feeling, it's way easier to be empathetic when your friends are going through it. Do you find it's harder to understand your own stuff or to figure out what others are feeling?
Okay, thank you.
Anytime. Since we were talking about EQ, are you wondering about how to actually put some of